the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Good morning.
Good morning.
In today's Gospel reading, found in the 9th chapter of St. Mark, we see 9 of the disciples having a debate with a large crowd, including some of Christ's adversaries, the scribes. Jesus, Peter, James, and John are not there yet, but they are approaching. They have been involved in a special mountain experience, as can be seen by reading the text prior to this Gospel reading. These 3 disciples of Christ and himself have been involved in the transfiguration of Christ, the metamorphosis. As they arrive, they find the disciples on the defensive. It appears that they have been challenged to heal a sick boy and were unsuccessful. Their opponents have seized the opportunity to deny the power and mission of Christ in his absence. However, now they see Christ approaching and are less likely to challenge his authority face to face. The crowd runs up to Christ in expectation that he will resolve the matter. Christ first turns to his own disciples, those who are answerable to him. They are very upset, in distress, because of their failure in healing the sick boy. They do not understand what happened. They had healed others in the past, but they failed this time. Christ asks them, "What are you discussing with them?" Before the disciples can give an answer, a man from the crowd says, "Teacher, I brought you my son, who has a good spirit. And whenever it seizes him, it throws him down, he foams at the mouth, he gnashes his teeth, and he becomes rigid. So I spoke to your disciples that they may cast it out, but they could not." Now put yourself in the Father's position. It could have just as easily been a mother who is talking to Christ. Think of this. Your child is demon-possessed, and whenever the demon chooses, it tries to drown your child, or to throw your child into the fire so that it will burn. It can cause your child to grind its teeth, to foam at the mouth. Pretty scary situation. Because of the disciples' failure to heal the son, the man has become hopeless. Desperation has set in. What is really at stake in this whole scenario, besides the recovery of the boy? It is the authority and the status of Christ. Remember the Father saying, "Teacher, I brought you my son." The disciples' failure have reflected on Christ's authenticity. Christ, however, knows the problem is not his insufficient power, but that they are a faithless generation. He asks the demon, "How long shall I be with you? How long shall I bear with you?" He knows that his disciples will fail, but he will not. "Bring him to me," he commanded. He will resolve everything. Some of the friends of the father go, and they return with the boy. And when the boy saw Jesus, the demon within the boy convulsed him, throwing him to the ground, causing him to foam at the mouth. Now Christ, as the physician, the healer, has compassion on the Father and the condition of the Son. And he asks the Father, "How long has it been happening to him?" Just like you are when you're sick or suffering from some ailment and you visit your doctor, he asks the particulars of your case. "How long have you had that cough? How about that itching, that pain, that soreness?" He then tells you what you must do to make yourself feel better? Now the demon continues to torment the boy. The father tells Jesus, if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us. Christ reacts to the father's words, if you can do anything, with his own words. If you can believe, all things are possible to him who believes. Twice now, Jesus has said something about the lack of faith. First, by calling the people a faithless generation, and second, by telling the Father, if you can believe. For Jesus, faith is the issue, and it is tied to the healing of the little boy. The Father is desperate, and with a sense of urgency, he cries out, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. The Father is hopeful that Jesus will accept even his weak faith. As a large crowd is running to see what is happening, Christ rebukes the demon, the unclean spirit within the boy, by saying, Deaf and dumb spirit, I command you, come out of him and enter him no more. The demon, however, is stubborn. It cries out. It throws the boy to the ground, and then it departs. The boy lies motionless on the ground. Many of the people say he is dead. But Christ provides a new life, a healed life for the little boy, by taking his hand and lifting him up. The narrative of St. Mark does not tell us the reaction of the boy, or the father, or the large crowd, or the scribes. We can, however, imagine the joy, the relief, and the glad gratitude of the Father. How he must have embraced his son and probably kissed the hand of Jesus for performing the exorcism of the demon and being successful where the disciples had failed. Some members of the crowd probably said things like this: Did you see that? It's amazing. This Jesus is for real. Other members of the crowd remained unbelievers, faithless. The scribes continued to scratch their heads, not knowing what to do with this Jesus fellow. The boy probably went to play with his friends. Later on, when he had entered the house with his disciples, Jesus was able to answer their questions as to why they were not able to heal the little boy. Christ tells them, this kind can come out by nothing but prayer and fasting. Christ, because of who he is, the incarnate Son, can cast out demons by his mere works. The disciples, however, must seek God's special intervention for folks in difficult cases. The necessary component in the healing of the sick boy was the faith of the Father. If you can believe, all things are possible to him who believes. During this period of the Great Lent, there are several things that we must increase in our lives. For example, we must increase the study of Scripture and of the Church Fathers. We must increase our attendance to church services, of which there are many. We must increase our almsgiving. We must increase our confessions and our receiving of the Eucharist. We must increase our fasting regimen. We must increase our praying. These last two, prayer and fasting, are the same two that Christ said were necessary to remove the demon from the little boy. These mean a radical renunciation of self, a consecration direction. Imagine the astonishing successes we might have in our lives. So as the Father, in today's Gospel reading, profess your belief, your faith, and ask God to help you in your unbelief, in your weak faith, during these final days